Services and pay centres are still not operating either. The workers are demanding settling of outstanding long-term service back pay issues, overtime and the suspension of workers. Well, our reporter Leigh Paulse is in Port Elizabeth in the midst of the story. We're live to her now. Good afternoon, Jade. Residents here clearly bearing the brunt of the strike action. Just give us a snapshot of what's happening now, Jade.
Yes, good afternoon, or should I say good evening to a very chilly and cold day here in Nelson Mandela Bay, keeping up to its namesake, the windy city as well, but it's quite rightfully so. There's been several negotiations between the municipality of Nelson Mandela Bay with SAMWU and IMATU. Unfortunately, I spoke to Contingency, who is the chairperson of SAMWU, and unfortunately they could not resolve those negotiations and those resolutions that they tabled to the municipality. Now, as you know, the trade unions want 75 million rand to be paid to them, and that equates to 30,000 rand going towards one worker after deductions. But the municipality says they simply cannot afford, and they have put to the table 34 million rand. But I'm also being told now that they're going to continue these negotiations, and there will be a resolution will be tabled by tomorrow morning. So it stands to be seen whether SAMWU and IMATU will be able to get that back payment, and that stands from a payment that has come from the year 2000, when the amalgamation between the several municipalities happened and Nelson Mandela Bay was formed. But looking at the metro, it's quite right, there's been several protests in the metro, the biggest one happening this afternoon in Governor Mbeki, where those trade unions took to the street. I'm actually standing in the street, and I can tell you that it's quite dirty, a lot of litter lying around, and a lot of general services being halted because of this march and the protests that have been taking place this week. But I think the most people affected are the community members, and with me right now I have some community members who have said that they're hoping that this protest will be resolved and that these trade unions will be able to meet a resolution with the municipality. Let's chat to some of the community members and find out what they have to say with regards to the protest. So just tell me, obviously you have bear the brunt of this protest march. I can see you also rushing home. Yes, yeah. This road was cordoned off earlier on. Just tell me, how has it affected you?
It was brutally to the past last week. We were travel down to the court to where I work, and then we have to wait for several times, and then it was so annoying, and then I was so late, and my wife and my kids were so late, and then that was so nice, that was so good, and this was so dirty from left and right. Do you understand? And even if you got a space to drive around, it's still dirty. You must find a way to pull around the car and then pull around something, and then you can drive away.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's try another resident here in Nelson Mandela Bay. Mama, how has this affected you, or has it affected you at all?
Ayithandeki lento ibonakalayo apha etown, because sihamba apha qho sikhwelela itaxi apha, mna ndihlala eGreenbushes France eKirha, so sikhwela apha itaxi sivaha tude kube late apha. Sithe sika sifika last week kwafika kuqhuma neqhuma apha endleleni, and kumda kakhulu umasipala makasincede kakhulu, ngoba ke iyas affecta kakhulu lento singabakhweli bebhasi, ngoba kufumanisa into yoba xa ngeli xesha itaxi funeka uyikhwelela ngapha ePO 14 akho ndawo uzohamba nemoto kuba nzima uhamba. Thank you.
Thank you, Mama. And Ma, how has these protests affected your life?
Kumdaka kakhulu apha town nam ndihlala eGreenbushes, and neteksi kunzima nohamba, nebhasi kunzima nohamba, kuyavuthuza yonke laa nto kumdaka. Umasipalathi makubonelelwe ngoba umdaka kwalapha etown.
Thank you, Ma. Those two community members saying that it's been very difficult to go to and from home. They live in Greenbushes, and because of these protests, or several protests that have been happening in the metro, unfortunately their buses and their taxis buses could not pass through Governor Mbeki and the city as a whole, making it very difficult for them to reach their destinations of choice. But I think one has to also remember that there are several protests happening in the Eastern Cape, as you heard with Busisiwe James Sana there speaking at Fort Hare University, as well as at Kakadu, where Zimkita Manginana has also been reporting. So right now the Eastern Cape is a hive of activity when it comes to protests. But looking back at Nelson Mandela Bay, the protesters are saying that they will go back to the table, they will be speaking to that municipality tomorrow, and hopefully a resolution will be tabled with regards to that back payment. It's back to you in studio.
Jay, just before you go, we're now into the second week of this strike action in Port Elizabeth. How much of public sympathy are workers enjoying at this point? We're listening to residents who are being heavily inconvenienced at this point. And then we had reports earlier of some community members who actually joined workers' pickets in the city.
That's very true. I think the bone of contention here is that the fact that essential services have been halted, and I think with most community members, they just want everything to go back to normal. So we have been seeing most of the general public coming out and supporting IMATU and SAMWU with the protest, standing in solidarity with them. When I was here early this morning in Governor Mbeki, several shops were closed as well, and those shop owners also joined into the march and to the protest that happened here in this area. So I think that there is sympathy with regards to the municipal workers, and I think essentially everyone just wants the metro to go back to its normal running position, and for the metro to return to the cleanliness, for the dirt and the garbage and the refuse to be picked up, and for those workers to also find a resolution with the municipality.
Almost nightfall in Port Elizabeth. Our reporter Leigh Paulse there, coming to us from the city where the municipal workers' strike is still ongoing. Wage negotiations are still underway. We'll bring you more live updates as the afternoon progresses.